Hey everybody, it's Julia here, and I am here to flip through my completed first visually book journal. Yeah, I mean, I keep my books, my record of books I should say, in a book like this. It comes crafted and then I just stamp it with the Bibliophile Pink Fresh stamp, and then I just fill it in. But this year I started doing these sort of visual journal. You can check out Essie Ruth here on YouTube. She is amazing and she gave me an idea, and I have done a few books in here. So yeah, for the love of books. So I mean, they're all process videos, and if you watch my or subscribe to my channel, I think you have seen most of them, but I just thought I was going to flip through. So the first book was The Readers of Broken Wheel Recommend. I don't think it was the first book I read this year. It was the second. But it's the first spread in here. And I took some inspiration from the book here. She describes a scene in the bookstore. So I did that paper piece and then used this to sort of illustrate the village. A little bit of vellum here, and then just journal about it. Then the first book I actually read this year, did them out of order, was the Agatha Christie, her biography book that she wrote herself, and it was a really nice book. I'm a big Agatha Christie fan, and it was really nice to read her book and what she thought was most important in her life, what she talked about most. And she talked a lot about traveling. Her second husband was an archaeologist, so I thought that was fitting. She talked quite a lot about it. And the best part I would have to say about this whole book, is a big book, is that you get through audio, I think, actually listen to her, because the way she wrote in the end was that she recorded her voice and then her secretary typed it, and they still have the recordings of a few chapters in the end of the book, and it was just amazing to listen to her describe it and how she talked. And it comes so clearly through the book how she talks to you, because that's what she does. She doesn't write, she talks to you, and I think that was really nice. Then we have an Agatha Christie book again. This is a 450 from Paddington, and what I did here is I added the clues, so to speak, down here, and then the murder is taking place on a train, and one character is witnessing this in the moving train coming past her, and the curtain goes up and she can see a man strangling a woman. So I did a little train window here, and then you can pull it up and you can see the silhouette of a man strangling a woman. I was mighty proud of myself when I did this. Here is another book. It's called Kissing the Witch, and it is 13 stories, I think, written by Emma Donoghue, and she's taking inspiration from classical fairy tales and then sort of rewriting them, and it was really fun to read them. I really like getting that sort of different perspective and how it could be. So yeah. Another Agatha Christie book. This is Murder at the Vicarage. I really like this one. And the murder here was a colonel. He was shot, and it was mentioned they couldn't see him because there was a big fern or plant in the way. So I did that. I have the plant here, and when you move past the plant, ta-da, he is dead. And here we have the note that he wrote, and he wrote it in 2 different inks. Well, he didn't, the murderer did, so I used 2 different pens. And then I have some washi tape here of brushes, because one of the murderers were actually the artist. And then the clock here is when he was murdered, or when they believe he was murdered. Then here we have another Katarina Bivald, which is the author of this book. And this is the second book, and it's called, well, I'm just translating right off. I don't know if there's some English book. It's called Life, Motorcycles and Other Impossible Projects. And yeah, it's a bit more busy here because I really want to illustrate, because she has a lot of thoughts in her head, so I chose this pattern from Dear Lizzie. Actually, everything here is from Dear Lizzie. And I just thought that was kind of perfect. Here to illustrate the village life. She takes motorcycle lessons, so here I have a scooter, but still, yeah. It was not my favorite book. I don't think I will be reading it again. Here is, I think, the spread I am least happy with, and the book I like the most. Of course. Yeah, I don't like how it looks. I don't think it truly represents the book either. I do like the colors. But yeah, so this is the Persuasion. It's by Jane Austen, and it is my favorite book by her. And yeah, but yeah, I'm not very happy with how it looks, but yeah. Moving on. Here is The Time of My Life by Cecilia Ahern. She is one of my favorite authors. And this is actually, I think, my all-time favorite book. Based on the number of times I've read it. I think I've read it 7 times. Yeah, I really like that book. So here what I did was sort of making like a photo wall, I'm thinking, and then the different parts of her life. So her car and her cat and her, and these are quotes from the book. And yeah, I really like how this one came together, which was good because I didn't like how this one. So yeah. And then here is another by Cecilia Ahern. It's called Lyrebird. And it was really pretty, really lovely book, and I really wanted to keep that sort of simplicity, and I drew a lot of inspiration from the cover. It had these sort of blue leaves, and they had some gold, and so I just wrote in gold, and I painted the background and scanned it in so I could get it smaller. And then here I stamped and embossed the title and the feathers, and then I painted and scanned in this Lyrebird and made it a bit smaller. But I definitely recommend these 2 books. They're really nice. Here we have Café Meron, which in English I have learned is The Little Lady Who Broke All the Rules. And yeah, so I really want to keep it quite simple. There is about 5 pensioners who go out and commit robberies. Actually, I think in the first book they just... they only kidnapped a few paintings from the museum, so it wasn't that bad. Yeah, anyway, so I have this paper by Maggie Holmes, and I thought it was a bit vintage looking, and a bit of coffee, and I really like how it looks. It's really simple. The second book is called Rån är guld, Robbery is Gold, and what I did here is I had a tag, and I have these sort of emoji stickers. So I just pulled out the ones I felt fitted the theme of, or the events of the book. And I really like this because in the second book they sort of get more savvy with the internet and the computers. So I thought the emojis was fun nod to that. I wrote a bit about it. And then one of the robberies, because they do a few in this book, they steal the Swedish national gold treasure and they bury it in the garden. So I painted a little garden here, and when you lift up the dirt, there's a bunch of gold here, so yeah. And then I just put this puffy sticker of the car, and it says on the way to new adventures, because they need to flee in the end. But it's really fun. These books are so fun. Here is another by Cecilia Ahern, the number 3 this year. And this book is called How to Fall in Love. And I have a bit mixed emotions about this book. I mean, I like it because she's a really good author, but the story and all that, sort of, it didn't sit right with me anyway. It felt a bit forced. Anyway, so in this book it was a bit of mentioning about a big event happening on the bridge, and they came back to the bridge, and they talked about how, yeah, you could see the Dublin skyline and in the dark. So I just made a bridge and then painted a skyline in watercolor, and then yeah, I wrote a bit, and then in white here I just wrote that life is made up with moments, that they talk about that because it's about suicide. Well, no, one of the characters in the book, he wants to commit suicide, and the other person, she wants to stop him, and she says like, it just moments pass, that's life. And I thought it was nice. And I just added some puffy stickers to get in some sort of softer elements. And then the last page in this book is another Agatha Christie, and it's The Moving Finger. And yeah, what I did here is I used some adhesive fabric to create sort of a hill, because they're out in the country. Some houses to represent the village. I have used this paper so many times to represent the village, I realize, but it works. I have a typewriter because it's mentioned in the book, and then the title here I made a like bigger impact. Usually I have like small stuff for a title, but here I wanted it big because I felt like I could really incorporate the elements of the book in the title. So in the book is about well, murder, obviously, it's Agatha Christie, but they send out anonymous letters, and the letters are the letters in the letters are cut from an old book and pasted together. And I thought that was a really fun idea. So I just went through my thickers, picked out the black and white, and put them together. So you get sort of that feel of the letters here. And then in typewriter I just wrote about the book. So the envelopes are written with typewriter, and it's significant because they are flawed, the typewriter, so they can sort of track it or find it. And then the book they took the letters from. So anyway, that is, and oh yeah, also I should mention that I had like 2 or 3 more pages in this book, but because of how thick it got here, I felt like when I was going to do the other spread I just worked on, it was too weird. I couldn't get it to look nice, so I decided to glue the remaining pages together and then start a new book, because I didn't feel like that was going to look nice when you get that big hill there. So yeah, that is my book journal for the first part of this year. I don't know how many books I will be reading once I get back in school. I don't think I will have that much time, but it's been really nice. I've been reading so much these last few months, and I love it. I'm so happy that I can read. But yeah, I'm really happy with how it's looked. I think it's really fun to flip through and sort of see the books that you've been reading. Obviously, you can just use a book journal like this, and I do, to keep track of like the important stuff. And if you wanted to, you could just like stamp 1 here and then write and then like paste a picture of the cover or something. But I think it's really fun and some artistic, and I have so much fun. And when I read, I think like, how can I visually represent a book? And I think it's really fun. If I were to pick one that I think are the best representation of a book, I think I would pick this one, which is The Time of My Life, and I also would pick this one. I think it's one of my favorites because of the emojis and the interactive elements. So yeah, I'm really happy with it. Thank you so much for watching. I hope that you like my little book series, my tea and book review journals. I'm having so much fun making them and sharing them with you, and I know some of you really like them because you comment and talk about the books. So yeah, thank you so much for watching. If you want to continue to see in my new journal, then just hit the subscribe, and yeah, it will come up. If you haven't seen the others, the process videos on these, you can just check out the playlist, the tea and book journal. And yeah, have a really great day.